Hey there, Brett here with Quarter Properties, your Myrtle Beach area real estate expert. Today I wanted to hop on here and just chat with you a little bit about, all the Ring cameras, security cameras that are in houses that buyers are looking at and sellers are trying to sell, and why you really need to listen in and just be aware of the repercussions if you're a seller and the caution as a buyer. So listen in. Here, we're in South Carolina. Our laws are very similar to North Carolina, and I'm sure that even if your law isn't exactly the same, you're going to have very similar types of statutes in your state. But here in South Carolina, we are considered a one-party consent state, meaning you can record and video record and audio record here in our state, mainly audio being the emphasis, if you are a party to that conversation. So with what we're talking about, if you are the buyer and you're the agent, then you can record that conversation. If you're the seller and the listing agent, if you're one of those parties, then you can record an audio, a conversation. But you cannot record a conversation. If you're a seller, you cannot record a conversation between a buyer and their agent. And a lot of times this could happen unintentionally, but guess what? The law does not care about your intent, okay? And here's what you need to know. If you do happen to, through your Ring device or through Alexa or Google Home or just whatever, if you happen to, record a conversation with audio of a buyer and that agent, then that is a Class H felony here in South Carolina. Damages could be up to $500 per day between when that conversation actually happened, or up to $25,000, along with punitive damages and litigation and attorney costs. So it can be very, very costly. And again, I said earlier that the law does not care about whether or not you intended to record that conversation. And let me say this, it's not just about recording. It can be listening in. You cannot actively listen into a conversation. If you're the seller and you've got your home listed, you can't be down the street and listening in on a baby monitor or some sort of any kind of a monitoring device. Even though you're not recording it, you cannot listen in. This can cause serious trouble for you. So what can you do if you're a seller? You can have security cameras up, like in common areas, up on your front door, your front porch, in the main living area, in the kitchen. You can have video cameras, but they cannot have audio recording, okay? But you cannot have cameras in non-common areas like bathrooms, bedrooms, okay? You cannot do that. And what you definitely want to make sure you do is disclose that your agent discloses that information in the listing, so that before they even go in there, they know, okay, there's going to be a camera on the front porch, there's camera on the back porch, there's camera in the main living area, in the kitchen and whatnot, okay? Things that you should never, ever, ever do, again, just to recap, as a seller, okay, you can never actively listen in to a conversation between a buyer and their agent, okay? You don't want to leave like your Alexa, your Google Home, you don't want to leave those actively on. You cannot attempt to gather information from their conversations that would help you in a negotiating position. And like I said, you can't place cameras in non-common areas. Now, let me say this as well, how this could hurt you as a seller. If you've got cameras everywhere and you're disclosing everywhere, well, let's say even if you just have cameras only in the common areas, cameras on the front porch, cameras in the living area, cameras in the dining room, cameras on the back porch, and it's disclosed in the listing. So the buyer's agent, they know, and hopefully they've informed the buyers like, hey, we've got to watch out. There's cameras everywhere. Guess what? that's going to make it very challenging. Let's say a husband and wife are kind of looking at the home, and they really want to be able to get emotionally connected to the home, have conversations with each other while they're there, and that's going to help them really get more connected to your home and hopefully lead to an offer. Guess what? If you've got cameras everywhere and you're trying to watch in on them, and it's just going to make it really hard for them to connect to your home. So just think about that as a seller. Now, on the buyer side, main thing you need to know is there are cameras everywhere now. There are listening devices everywhere now, and the law, it can't keep up with how fast the monitoring technology is. So you just kind of have to kind of be aware of that. And when you're on site, on property, just know you're going to have to kind of, unfortunately, limit what you're able to say in those areas where you very well could potentially be being recorded. So, but on both sides, we need to be aware. Okay. All right. I hope you found this information helpful. If you did and you liked it, please click the like button. If you want to keep up with more interesting info and inside information on the Myrtle Beach area market or just real estate in general, please click the subscribe button there. If you're thinking about buying in the Myrtle Beach area, we've got absolutely the easiest way to search the latest Myrtle Beach area listings right there in the description there. We've got a link for that. If you want to keep up with your home value, if you're thinking about selling and not recording and listening in to people while they're there looking at your house. If you're thinking about selling, maybe keeping up with your home value, we've got a link for that. And then also, if you just want to chat about what you're thinking about doing, my email address is there, my phone number is there, and we will be talking to you soon.